Hey guys! So as you can tell, I'm Diana and this is not AJ. And again, we have Natalie with us today to talk about test preps. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi guys, this is my first semester as a peer mentor. I really love it. I'm a finance major in college business. I'm planning to graduate in 3 years, so I'm gonna graduate if all works out in spring. So that's I'm really excited to that, and I would like to go into like investment banking.
Oh, nice.
Like that.
That's cool. So what plans do you have like after graduation, in grad school or just
Well,
job?
after grad school, I have an internship actually this summer, so I would like to see how that works out, and then I would love to like pursue a job there like after graduation, and then like for grad school I'm really interested in doing that, and I like to do that if, like my company like like they support you with it and things like that.
Yeah. Nice.
So, yeah,
That's cool. That's cool. Alrighty. So today we're going to be talking about test prep. So it's kind of late in the semester. Our professors are starting to give us a lot more tests. Finals are right around the corner, so we wanted to just talk about this a little bit. Just make sure that you guys know what to prepare for and how to prepare, because we don't want you guys waiting till the week of the test to prepare. So like we said, first tip is spread it out. So that means just like start studying right now and kind of don't wait till the last minute.
Yeah, it's definitely for me. I'm taking Stats 3 this semester, and what I've like been figuring out, like, so my teacher, he gives out quizzes, and the quizzes are due like each week, and then like in line up for the exam. So and so what I'm doing now is the week of the exam, instead of like how I usually did, like study the night before, like I would literally go to my TA's office hour and work out each quiz with her, like when it's due and everything, and then after when it's due, and then go with her and check like why did I get this one wrong, things like that. And so like the week of the exam, I already know like all the material, and I'm just like going over it again, and then like you help your friends, and I don't know, with me, like if you can explain it, then you know the material. So then that's what really helped me out.
And so this was a little bit counterintuitive for our tip number 2. A lot of people sometimes they bash on studying for the test, but it's really important to study for the test and not for the course. And the meaning behind that is don't try to overwhelm yourself and learn everything you need to know for that course. Maybe just focus on the things that are important for that test. So for example, in some of my classes, I have 3 tests. One kind of the first couple of weeks of class, one in the middle, and one at the end. And so usually that one at the end, it's not the final, but it's the one right before the final. And the professor's just testing those stuff that we learned those last couple of weeks. And then the final is like an all-encompassing test. So when you're studying for like test number 3, you don't want to study stuff from test number 1 or from the beginning of the semester, because that's not going to appear on the test. You want to study stuff that's going to be useful to help you on that test.
Definitely, and definitely look at your syllabus, because it definitely will tell you like the chapters, and sometimes you don't even need to know the whole chapter. You need to know just the section of like in that chapter, and that just really helps me like a lot.
Granted, don't use that tip for finals.
Oh no.
Some professors will say that the final is not
cumulative. And a lot of professors do that now.
Yeah.
Yes, and so I think that's way better. Yeah.
So if they say that it's not cumulative, then yeah, study for the test and don't try to kind of overwhelm yourself with everything. But if they do say it's cumulative, then you kind of need to know everything that was taught in that class. So kind of scope out the scope. This is kind of the same, as test or tip number 2, in the meaning that try to understand how your professor is going to test you. A lot of professors, they don't try to trick you. They don't give you super hard problems on the test. They just want to see what you know. So try to figure out from past tests, what's the level of difficulty your teacher usually tests you at. That way you're prepared. If in the past they used, super hard test questions, then yeah, study for those super hard ones. But if they had like a level 1 on the difficulty scale, then maybe don't study and prepare for hard questions, but study for, simpler questions. That way you're not overthinking on the test.
Yeah, something like that too. I always like what I always do before going with the like signing up with the teacher or things like that. I always talk to other students who already had that, and sometimes they always have like their own like their own practice like exams they had before them, and so like I love going over that as well. It's just to see, okay, this is the structure he's gonna do, and also after the first exam, like you already know how like it's always gonna be that format for every exam. And usually like teachers always give out like for all the classes I have right now, all the tests are like exactly like in a sense like the quizzes or the homeworks, and the teacher even tells you like this, it will be exactly like the homework's just different, like a different like concept, things like that. So I always like make sure to like know exactly and everything, and study all case scenarios in that, because like that's happened to me so much. Like I study the quiz and I know it by heart, but then on the exam he gives another like scenario and you're like, oh, I didn't study that scenario, but it's exactly the same format. So definitely like in that, like talk to your TA, your SI, your professor, and definitely read the book in that to see like all the case scenarios that you can get for them.
And speaking of format, that's tip number, what is it, 4? Figure out the format, because like we've talked about in past videos, you test different when it's a multiple choice test versus a fill-in-the-blank test. So figure out what type of format your professor likes to use. Look at past tests. Usually, yeah, like the material that's being covered in the test is different, but the format that the test is written in is usually the same throughout all of the tests in the semester. So figure out that format.
Definitely.
Tip number 5, line up your ducks. So kind of before you start studying, make sure you have a complete set of lecture notes. Make sure you have all of your PowerPoints, your textbook, everything you would need to know. You don't want to have to be like in the middle of a problem and you realize, oh wait, I'm missing a key part of the information, and then have to completely stop and go look for it.
Yes. Oh, one thing I can say with that, definitely like make groups, like study groups for that, because yes, like you're human, you're not, sometimes like things slip in a lecture, or sometimes like you missed and you just didn't get it. So like I always form a group before every exam, and we literally like share all our notes, like this is the lectures like that I took. Some friends have it recorded, some friends have it all written down, and so like it's really nice like to like share it, because then they share their point of view, and then you're like, oh okay, so maybe you were like thinking something else, and then they can explain it to you, and then you can explain it to your other friends. So that's really like helpful.
And another pointer, if you are borrowing somebody's notes, make sure that you're borrowing someone who's doing relatively well in class. Not just like a Facebook friend or someone you talk to on the first day and never talk to again. Because the reason behind that is you want somebody who kind of like is taking good notes. So if they're doing well in class, it probably means that they're studying and they're preparing for those tests well. And so you want to follow that kind of, because you want, usually like the notes you use are a reflection of, will be reflected on your final test score. So you want to have like a full set of notes, not like, you know, the first 2 words of class and then doodles.
And then doodles. So yeah, definitely like when I form my groups, they're usually not with my friends. Like I usually like get them with like, I always go to SI sessions, and honestly I've met so many friends going to SI sessions who like share the same like vision as me in the class, like, oh, we want that A, like we're not going to settle for the B. So we have the same mindset, and so those are the kids that I form groups with, so that we're like, okay, we're on the same ride, we want to do right, and then we should all work together. And so I really like that. So if you really want to form a good group, go to like the SI session, go to the TA's office hour, like make friends with those kids who are also doing like well, and they also have the same mindset as you. Don't like usually like just go with your friend, like when you want to do a group project, even the teacher recommends it, like don't choose your best friends, like if you know your best friend doesn't really like want that A like you do, or like they just have a different like mindset. So definitely just like know like what you want to like get in that class, and like form yourself a good group with people with like the same like similar goals. So.
And piggybacking off of that, I know one of my friends, she's very kind of OCD about deadlines, in the sense that if like there's a deadline,
those are good friends though.
So if there's a deadline 2 weeks from now, she's not gonna wait till the night before. She needs to start now on the project. So for her, it's really important when she's picking group mates to have somebody who's also like that, because and she's told me numerous times that some of her group mates that wait till the last minute, or y'all are all doing different parts of the project and everyone's done except for one person.
Don't be a free rider, like no.
Not only that, but that causes so much stress for her. She's like, no, I need to have it done at least 2 weeks in advance, and I can't just sit around with you. And so you don't want to add stress to that. I mean, school is stressful enough. You don't want to add like a group mate that, oh, but they're my best friend. Okay, yeah, but are they going to be adding stress to you? Are they going to be bringing your grade down? Because at the end of the day, friends are great and everything, but if it's going to affect your grade, your friend isn't going to help you get that job you want. The grades are going to help you. What you learn in class is going to help you. What you can use in job interviews, that's what's going to help you. So don't be afraid, and I've never seen a friend, like two friends, like break up over the fact that I don't want to be in your group.
I definitely still help them. Everything.
Yeah, like you can always be like, oh, I'll still be here, but I kind of got invited by this other group to be in their group, and I said yes, and I'm sorry. Nobody's gonna be like, wow, Natalie, you left me.
No, it's not high school anymore. No.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no.
and then if it is like you need that drama in your life.
Dude, no, honestly, that I've literally noticed things like that too. I'm like, cause like for me, like I'm in the honors college, so like I need to keep that 3.5 and above. And if I'm being with friends who like don't care, they don't care about my grade, cause like I care a lot about like my friend's grade. I'm like, oh, like I'm like that OCD friend. I'm like, did you submit it? I'm like, so like yeah, when I see like friends like not care, they're like, oh, you don't even have to turn it in. I'm like, no, like
yes,
you know,
I do.
I'm like, okay, maybe I should see you around.
So yeah, like remember, always take that to heart, that when you're picking a group, don't necessarily just pick your friends. Pick, and especially like as you go through your classes and through the semesters, look at the groups that are doing well. Look at the students that are participating in their groups. Yes. If you have a group and everyone worked really well, remember those names. If somebody was slacking, remember that name. Like use your resources. Use your don't be afraid to ask. Like, Natalie, you've heard about Bob? Is he a good?
No, you should see me. I like stalk people down and group me and everything, and I just message them like, oh, I saw you in the other class the other day. Do you mind explaining it to me? Like, and you'll be surprised that people are so nice. Like, I've never had someone be like, no, I don't know. Like, no, they literally like say like, oh, do you want me to call you, or do you want to meet up? I can explain it really fast. And like, people are so nice, and like, just don't be afraid to reach out. And like, personally with me, like, I've learned so much more like from students than like from like the professor itself. Like, for real, like they tell me everything they got from the lecture, and they're
it's
like,
really important, because
it's so important. I was like, wow, like why do I, like, you were like perfect. Like, I love kids. Like, I love them. They literally like helped me this whole like college career and everything.
And so the reason why that happens is because you have to understand, like, professors, they all learned this when they were back in undergrads, and most of them have, or all of them have PhDs. So they're already at this huge high level of thinking, and we're still way down here. And so no matter how much they try to bring it down, it's still like you have to reach out to people who are at the same level as you to understand it a little bit better.
And they explain it like in a way that I can understand.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now.
All right. Tip number 6. So there's some courses like history, math, sciences where you have to do a lot of memorizing. And so these are the important courses that you should do first, or study first, is that memorizing. Because your brain is going to kind of like, after a while of studying, your brain is kind of going to start falling asleep and drowning stuff out. So if you do the memorizing first, it's like the hard part out of the way. And your brain's going to feel a little bit more relaxed, and it helps you when you're like, if you're memorizing different equations for a math course, when you go to practice those equations or practice problems, you already know the equations you need to know. So it's going to help you feel a little bit more confident.
Yes, for those classes, like, it's a lot of like things to know. It's just definitely like, I heard of like, learn about all these styles you can do, like flashcards, like bring them everywhere you go. I like I see people have them on the buses, like the shuttles. definitely use like Cornell notes, like those work so well. It's just like, because, and start like for those who can cram it in the night before those classes, like, you know, in the beginning that you need to like study at least like every hour each day for that. So definitely just plan out your schedule. Make sure that you have that like in your schedule.
Next tip, capture the concepts. So like make sure that you understand those key concepts and that you're focusing on those key concepts. It's okay to go on tangents about learning about stuff, but always come back and regroup on those key
the
concepts.
big picture. What are we really learning?
Yep. And go for the scores. So don't be afraid to look at the test, look at practice tests or previous tests and see, oh, this concept had 30 points while this concept only had 10 points. Maybe focus on those 30, 40-point questions and make sure you understand those concepts. Because if you understand like the 10 or 5 points, that's great. But in the grand scheme of things, if you lose those 30 points, that's going to be a huge hit on your test score. While the 5, 10, they add up, but if you miss 1 or 2, it's not going to be as much as missing one of those 30, 40 points.
And on the exams, like, you can skip, like, you don't have to go in order, like, go for the one that's worth the most and, like, that you know, and, like, knock it out.
And so this actually leads us to those tips for people who run out of time on tests. So that was a question that was given to us. So again, tips for people that run out of time on tests. Go for those big points first. So when you have something that's 30, 40 points, tackle those problems first, because if you get them, that's a huge chunk out of your test score that you got right. But also remember, don't spend too much time on one question.
Yes, if you're realizing, like what I noticed, if you're realizing you can't get it, skip. Like if you're in the middle of it and you can't, like, and you see your time's running out, skip and go to the ones you do know and like answer those and then go back to that question.
So like if you're sitting there and you're like rereading the question over and over again, just trying to understand, that's just wasting your time and wasting the time that you could be answering like easier
questions that you know for sure that are meant to be easy for you to get the point. And like what's helped me, like, you should literally skip it and like you will be thinking of it and then it will come back to you. Yes, it always comes back to me.
Or sometimes like one question will trigger something like, oh, that's how I solve it. And then not only that, but always, I know for my classes where they're like math intensive and they're like engineering problems, write down like the first thing that comes to your mind or key points, because professors love giving partial credit. So if you see a question and it says, okay, what's 2 plus 2, and you can't figure it out, be like, okay, so if you draw a diagram or something, I know 2 plus 2 is a simple question, but draw a diagram or draw something that you remember from the notes, something that may help you jog your memory, and anything you put on that paper can help you get some of that partial credit, especially for those large problems.
Yes, and definitely like it's bad because you shouldn't like memorize it, you should know it. That's hard. But like when you have the exam, and especially like formulas like that, what I always do, like when he puts it down, I write down like all the formulas that I know or things like that that I know like on my exam, so then I have that down and then I can like go on in peace and I don't have to like keep like memorizing
I do the same
that.
thing. I like to go through my test at first glance, like the first 5 minutes, and I'll write down for each question, like, okay, remember this, remember that, like little key points, and then whatever formulas I'm going to need, any diagrams that's going to help me solve that question. Because my tests usually are like 5 questions, but they're 5 long questions. So, like, if you don't get to the last question or something, at least you have something on there. It's not blank. So the professor sees like, okay, they had a train of thought, they probably just ran out of time, and they'll give you some partial credit. Alrighty. Never read. So that's our next tip. It's more effective to actually like paraphrase things. Okay. Like, yes, read to get the concept and like take notes on as far as what's being said in a chapter, but when you're studying, study those notes, study those paraphrases, because reading is just memorizing, and you're never going to be asked to just regurgitate what you read on that paper. And so reading kind of just gives you so much information, and you get really like cluttered with all this information. So always look at your, your like paraphrasing and your summaries of what you read. Don't reread the stuff. We got another question. Tips for the day before the test.
Okay. Well, so, okay, it's just like general tips that you always do before the exam. Like, just always get your par scores before, know which one. Because, I like around freshman year, like, because I'd be stressed. I didn't know how to study for them. Like, I'd study, like, the whole night before. I don't sleep the whole day of the exam. And then I'm like, I don't know what to get. Do I even have do I have the calculator they want? Because some teachers, like, no, you're only allowed to use this calculator. That one's too advanced. And then I show up to the exam with the wrong calculator and have to run out. Definitely know that. Get your par score ready. If a lot of teachers allow like cheat sheets, don't do your cheat sheet the day of the. Do it before. Like, do it before, and then like definitely like should double check with the friend to see like, hey, do you want to compare them, and then like you can add more things to it as well.
With cheat sheets, what I like to do is I like to get mine done, like, I take the notes and put everything I need on the cheat sheet, and then I take, like, a practice test with that cheat sheet. And I see, is it really helpful? Is what I put down here going to help me on the test? Because the last thing you want to do is, like, on the test, look at all of this information, but none of it is applicable to the test. So always, like, make that cheat sheet and then study, like, take an actual test with that cheat sheet and see if you have practice tests. Try and see if that cheat sheet's helpful. Or definitely get your materials together, because the last thing you want to do is show up to the test.
Don't do it the day of the exam. Also, like, there's always a line, I don't know, for me to get a par score, and then I'm late to my exam, and that's like time. Like, I don't know about you, but I need the full time. Like, even I don't walk out, like, I'm gonna use it all and I'm gonna go through it again, like.
And then make sure you're getting sleep, because not getting sleep is like the worst thing you can do to your brain on that test. I knew a kid who fell asleep on a final, so he slept for like a solid hour through the final. And like some professors are like, I'm not going to wake him up. This is his time. Like, he does what he wants with it. And it was kind of like, that's rude, man. Like, wake him up. But that kid lost an hour's worth of time that he could have used for the test. So definitely get in that sleep. Not only that, but like, even if you think, okay, if I don't sleep, I get 6 more hours of studying, your brain is not going to remember what you tried to cram in those 6 hours when you could have been sleeping. Not only that, but your brain is quicker at recognizing things and maybe making connections. So just because you decided to sleep 6 hours instead of studying a question that appears on the test, you can maybe connect the dots between the questions and figure out how to solve that with a good rest, like good night's sleep. Next one. Tip number 10. Milk a friend. Don't be afraid, like Natalie was saying, don't be afraid to ask questions, for help from other people. They're taking the same class as you.
We're all students here. Exactly. That's why they're like, you're not above them, they're not above you. We're all here to learn, and like, just help each other out. And like, usually, like, when I see someone struggling and like I know the material, I literally offer to like help them, because like that like helps me a lot. Like, it should, like, because like if you can like I said before, if you can explain to someone, then you know it. And then if you're realizing and you're trying to explain it to someone and you can't do it, then you don't know it. You really don't. And like, to me, that helps me a lot. Like, it's like studying extra for me. Like, you go through this stuff and this stuff. So definitely, like, be like nice and like help your classmates out.
Like, think of it as like a circle of giving, I guess. If you help, if somebody comes and asks you for help and you help them out, you never know, further down the road, maybe there's a concept they understand that you don't. And so if you're constantly like, no, I'm not going to give you my test, I'm not going to let you know, I'm not going to blah, blah, blah. Then these people are going to, when you need their help, they're going to be like, well, you didn't help me, so... But yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help. It doesn't mean, like, it doesn't belittle you. It doesn't mean that you're not as smart as everybody else. Everyone has a different learning curve. Some people need 5 different people to explain it to them. Some people just need to watch one YouTube video and they know everything. So you never know. Also, don't make fun of people who ask you questions. Like, maybe the question they're asking is a very, like, basic concept that you understand, but they don't. So don't make fun of them. We're all here to learn, and that's like the really important part, is when you start making fun of people who are asking questions, they're going to stop asking those questions, and therefore they're going to stop learning. And so that's just kind of, a negative environment. talk to the professor. Don't be afraid to go up to him and be like, hey bro, what are the concepts that are gonna, okay, don't say bro, but be like, hey, what are the concepts that are gonna be covered on the test? What chapter should I look for? Do you have any practice problems, or should I look at homework problems? Are those going to be similar to what's going to be on the test?
Yes, like professors like are definitely out there to help you. Like I know I have so many professors that like, yes, when they lecture you're like, oh, I don't even want to talk to him, like, oh, how scary he is, or just how monotone. But like professors, they do love their jobs, they do. And you literally like just go up to them and just literally ask. Like I ask them like, oh, I always say, how would you like advise me to study for this, to prepare? Like would you recommend me to go over the quizzes, the learn smarts, the homework? And they will tell you, they're like, oh, definitely like I would recommend like you go over like the quizzes more over the homework, because it's going to be exactly the same format or things like that. And they will recommend you like where to go to if you need help, and they would like definitely encourage you to go to their office hours, and they'll explain everything to you as well.
And like I can guarantee you there isn't a teacher out there that's like out to fail their students.
No.
So what professors really want, and what most professors are always like all about, is, you know, passing on that knowledge and making sure that you understand that knowledge. So they're not going to be sitting there and trick you and say, oh yeah, study the problems, and then when you go to the test it's something completely different. Tip number 12. Test drive your test. Basically, if you have access to practice problems, if you have access to previous tests, some professors will post previous tests. Definitely do those previous tests. I tutor a logic design class, and you won't believe how many students have like 10 different previous tests. And they'll still come to me. They're like, so what should I expect on the test? I'm like, did you look at the previous test? Oh no, I didn't. I don't think he's gonna use any of that. I'm like, you don't understand. Like, especially if you have like 3 or 4 different previous tests, look at those and see what are some common themes that are coming up from these tests. And more than likely, these are going to be the similar types of questions that are going to appear on your current test. Obviously not the same exact questions, but it's going to give you a good idea of how to prepare for the material.
And a way also like look at past things like that, resources, like definitely like network with like organizations you're in. Like for real, like you'd be so surprised, like in so many like organizations that I'm involved, like until like the last minute I realized that one of like my friends, or like fraternity brother, people who like they took the same professor as me, and they're like, oh yeah, I had all that material. And I'm like, oh wow, like where were you? Like, I know it's on you. You never asked. They're not gonna go up to you and like, oh, I heard you're taking this class. Let me like give you all this, all my notes, and like no, you need to go up to them. So definitely like put in the group meets, ask like, hey, do you have a friend who took that class? Like, do they have any notes that they can give me, things like that, so I can study? And like that just really helped me a lot.
And always know that these tips, while they work for some of us, they might not work for all of us. So this is something that should be very flexible, and we've said this time and time again about everything. But test taking skills and test preparing skills are something that you have to kind of figure out for yourself what works for you. And always at the end, after a test and stuff, reevaluate and be honest with yourself. Sometimes like it's easy to be like, oh, the teacher didn't teach me this.
Oh yeah, like, oh, he threw a curveball at me. He never taught me this scenario. Like it was all fair game. Like when I always go into an exam, like I used to have like so bad anxiety. Like freshman year, I'm like, because I didn't know how to study. Like I would literally study the day before, and then the whole like my exam was at 2:30, and I would not sleep. I would study the whole day, and then I would always be so anxious. Like, but literally like this semester, like I literally like been studying like the whole week, like weeks before, and guess what? I'm not like anxious anymore. The day of the exam, I'm literally like there chill, like pass it like to me. I'm always like you should have seen me. I was like that, like getting it, because I'm like, I'm gonna forget everything I just memorized like 20 minutes ago. So Just definitely like start studying before and things like that.
But yeah, definitely like reevaluate and see
Oh
like
yeah,
where
sorry, I
could you
totally forgot like where we were. I was like, where am I going with it?
but
Okay,
reevaluate like the
yeah.
way you prepared for that test and look at yourself and kind of like how could I become better at taking a test, or like Natalie,
just be,
where
like,
she
honest.
was where she was like preparing all day and now she like reevaluated it and now she's studying all week instead of just that day. So yeah, kind of test things out. If they're not working, don't try to force it to work. Try something else out. And then our final or semi-final tip: don't pull all-nighters. Maybe pull a half-nighter, which means like study until like midnight and then wake up at like 6 in the morning or something, because you do need that sleep. Like, you don't understand how important sleep is to your brain. And then also look at it from your professor's perspective. They're not out there to get you. A lot of times they'll put on their easy problems that you can easily overthink. So if you see a problem, you're like, oh, the answer has to be this, and then you're like, wait a minute. Don't start to try to second guess yourself, because that's when you start to overthink.
You should go with your first gut.
And then just a little bonus tip: eat breakfast the day of for your test.
Eat something like. Well, my parents would always tell me, like, have a little chocolate, like, bar before taking the exam. They're, like, read in an article, like, it would help your brain or something like that. So that's why I usually...
But, yeah, like, proteins and carbs are really good for your brain and for, you know, test day to kind of just get you calm and get you ready for, like, focusing on the test. And you don't want to have to be sitting on the test and all of a sudden you hear this growl. And you're like, oh, my gosh.
Like, it will distract you.
Yeah, it'll distract you. You'll start thinking like, oh my gosh, everyone knows that I'm the monster
yes.
that's making this noise.
Oh my gosh, that's me.
Alright, so we have some, do you have any more tips for test taking?
It's like, since we're like at the end of the like semester, kind of like, it's not, we still have a month, so definitely it's not too late for you to be like,
get back on top of it?
Yeah, and like build a good relationship with your professor. Like, I can tell you, like, I have like 2-3 classes that like my teachers literally helped me out at the end, and that's because they knew like I was literally trying like hard the whole semester, like, and I would tell them, like, they would know, like, they like try to get the professor to know you by your first name, like, and he knows your name. And so like definitely like with me, I would always let them know, like, I'm going to each SI session, oh, there's this one thing I didn't understand. I would definitely always go like to the hard classes that I knew I was going to be on the verge of it being an A. I would always go like at least like once or twice every 2 weeks to the teacher's office hour, and so they know me, and like I just like ask them simple questions and just to get to know your professor more. It's like they're professors, like it's really, they have really interesting stories to tell you and things like that. So definitely like get on good friends with your professor, and after each exam, definitely go, like, some teachers don't let you keep your exam, but you can go to the office hour and double check everything you and you can like go through, what am I saying, you can go through your exam and your professor's right there, and you can ask them like, oh, what were you looking for, and things like that. And I sometimes always go double check each exam I took, because then like you can like, I don't want to say argue, but you can literally like tell them like, this is like what I meant and things like that. And I have some professors who actually like bump me up a grade because they're like, oh, okay, I understood what you're trying to say and things like that. And I'm like, here's my work, this and that. And they're like, okay, I'll give you like partial credit for it instead of 0. So that's always helped me, and yeah, things like that.
You want to have a good repertoire, I guess, with the professor, because if you go like the last day of class, you're like, hey, I'm between an A and a B.
Like he's gonna be like, who are
help
you?
Help me out. And you're like, are you even taking my class? They're not gonna help you. But if they know you and they're like, oh, Natalie, of course I'll bump you up, or no worries.
Think about it, things like that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that's pretty much all we have. If you have any tips, please feel free to put it in the comments below.
Definitely.
What's your favorite test prepping tip? Mine would have to be sleep.
Sleep before.
Yeah, I love sleep so much. But I've realized, like, I used to pull all-nighters freshman year, and now I can't. I'm like, if I don't get at least 3 hours,
I need to sleep.
I'm super grouchy. I'm super, like, just not pleasant to be around.
Yeah, it's just, I'm gonna say it again, but literally, it's just like start preparing before. Like, don't like. It's just an hour. It's just 1 hour, like each day. Like apply yourself, and I promise you, you're not gonna be so anxious on the day on the exam. You're actually gonna sleep. Like you get a whole REM cycle. Like you can actually go through it, and you won't be like all stressed out because like you already went through it and you reviewed it. And so the daily exam, you just like need 2 hours and just to review all your notes, and you're good.
Okay. So some little things that are coming up. Registration is this week, all week. We have our doctoral graduate students and teacher certificate students registering today.
And honor students today too.
And honor students. Seniors start registering tomorrow. Juniors and post-bac students, so like if you've already gotten a bachelor's degree, they're going to be doing Wednesday, sophomores are Thursday, and freshmen are next Monday, so from a week from today.
Yes, and for that, if you have holds, definitely like before the day of your registration. So, example, you need to like register on like Wednesday, like right now or Tuesday. Check if you have any holds, because that's
email your professor.
Yes,
or not professor, your advisor.
Yes, a lot of advisors. I know for the College of Business, the week of registration, they have walk-in. Yeah, but they have walk-in hours.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so in case you have any problems, you can go and talk to your advisor.
I know for like the College of Engineering, they don't do walk-ins.
Oh no, so definitely like. Yeah.
Like their busiest week.
Yeah, before I always have to register for classes a week before I make an appointment with my advisor.
Me too.
So I already know like what's up. And
but make sure that you have your advisor's email, because that's probably going to be the best way to contact them, and give them about 48 hours. This is really crazy week for them. So make sure that you're giving them time. Then we have April 7th is UTSA Underground, so that's going to be on the UC lawn and, well, the Student Union lawn.
Okay.
And the UTSA tunnels from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Okay.
And then all week this week we also have First Gen Fest. So on Monday, today, we're going to have from 3 to 6:30 in the Rotama. We're going to have the First Gen Film Fest, so we're going to be showing 2 movies, and then we're going to have some discussion afterwards about those movies.
And there's like free popcorn, and I'll be there, so totally come out.
On Tuesday, we're going to have the First Gen Fair on main campus, so that's going to be in the Sombria from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. On Wednesday, First Gen Fair on downtown campus. It's going to be Bill Miller Plaza, from 4 to 6 p.m. And then Thursday is First Gen Poetry Slam. I can't read today. Poetry Slam. No, we're going to have slam pottery from 8 to 10 p.m. And that's going to be in the Student Union Fountain Courtyard. So I think that's by where the Starbucks is, over there.
Yes.
And then Friday, First Gen Institute. So that's going to be in the Student Union Denman Room. And it's from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Oh, and Saturday we have First Gen Familia Day. So I guess bring out your family to UTSA from noon to 4 p.m.
Hey.
And so there's flyers all over campus. And we'll be posting it on all of our social media, so definitely look for that. But yeah, we'll see you out around. This week is really busy. So yeah. Any closing thoughts?
No, it's just good luck on your exams. I know a lot of exams are this month, and good luck on your finals. I know you're all going to do good.
Yep, and so we'll see you in about 2 weeks. We're going to have our little wrap-up video. AJ's going to be back, and so we'll see you then. Aside from that, thank you for watching.
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you later.
Bye.